This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol live. It's a freaking Wednesday. I'm gonna do my best to make with the news and find out what that news be doing. I'm very sleepy. I got very little sleep last night. Good evening, welcome. I have no show prepared. This is what we're calling free balling. Igloo, good evening, my friend. I swear I go into Igloo's chat last night. I'm like, I predominantly do the news, thank you. Because Igloo's like, Justin sometimes does the news, the serious news. I'm like, no, we predominantly do the serious news. I was up in the DJ hours last night, but when I was in your chat, I was procrastinating on the thing that I really needed to do. Holiday, PB Girl, my lord, clinically, good evening. I'm not high enough for this shit. Got 3 hours of sleep and walked my ass across fucking town. So my plan is we'll fuck around here for a little bit. I'm gonna try to get my ass up in the morning, and we'll do Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. confirmation hearings. Those start at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And tomorrow night, here's what I'm thinking. We're gonna come on an hour early. We're gonna come on at 7. Dip, good evening. Okay, clinically, bicicleta. Very good idea. However, there is a hill very steep that I would probably not be able to bike up. It'd be fun on the other side going down. Because what you don't realize is that my apartment sits on pretty much the highest point in the city. So I go downhill, then gotta walk up another hill to go even more downhill to get down to the city. And boy, by the time the weed store is only a little over a mile. It's a little over a mile. My buddy Battle Opossum's like, fuck, I used to run 5 miles in an hour. What are you talking about? Like, well, I'm not very active, sir. I walked a mile both ways, and it was absolutely worth it. I got weed. I come back, I hit my bowl a couple of times. Not the bong, just the bowl. So I'm like, well, I need to conserve until, it's probably going to be next Tuesday until I can get some more. I hit it like 2 or 3 times. I'm like, this isn't hitting me. Let me pack a bong. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, I feel it now. That damn tolerance. This is called Gushers. It's called Gushers. Gushers is what we've got. Gushers. Did not go to the high class weed store, as you can tell. I went to the skeevy looking weed store because it's the one that's closer. The high class weed store is like 2.5 miles. So I could walk to it, and I've still got a free pre-roll from them coming. But that's a bit more of a walk. Okay, here's you a meme of the day. I was trying to find one, I didn't find a good one. I tried to do something topical. But I had this in the can, so roads with dusty roads dust, if dusty roads could dust roads. Yeah, I don't think you're walking to the weed store, my lord. I ain't gonna be walking up 27 miles. And like I specifically, one of the reasons why I moved here was to be close to the weed store so I could walk to the weed store if I needed to. I asked Curious her if she wanted to go. She's in the middle of like working a crazy shift this week. So don't forget, tomorrow night we're going to be doing Fire Aid, the California benefit concert. I don't even remember who all. Lady Gaga's there, Red Hot Chili Peppers, I think Katy Perry. I don't expect it to be good. That's why I got Media Winch to come on. It's going to be me and the Media Winch watching the Fire Aid tomorrow night, so be sure to be here for that. That's at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Eastern time. I guess that'd be 6 for you people out there on the Pacific coast. We're gonna find out a little bit of what that news be doing. Give me a second, because I'm not high enough. Light one up, tip one back. Girl of Gray, good evening. So glad to have weed again. It doesn't taste that good, though. Could be my bong, though. Could be the bong water. I probably haven't emptied it in a little while. Other than the time that, like, I choked as I was trying to hit it and emptied some water into my lap. That happened the other day. I think twice the other day. All right, so once again, I don't really have anything planned tonight. We're doing a free balling show. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the fact that we have fought to get Guantanamo Bay closed for fucking years. Since the Bush administration, activists have been fighting to close up Guantanamo Bay. Now we're going to be sending brown children to it.
Mr. Homan and Secretary Nome, can we ask you a few questions here, please? Would you guys gaggle with reporters for a few moments?
Thank you.
Could you gargle on this reporter for a few moments?
Top immigration advisors to President Trump, in addition to Stephen Miller. He just announced that he's signing an executive order to put 30,000 detention beds at Guantanamo Bay. I know, Mr. Homan, you've talked about needing more beds, but how exactly would that work, and when do you expect it to open?
You know, that is something that the White House is working on, to use resources that we currently have there at Guantanamo Bay. So we'll go through the process. The worst of the worst is where that could be utilized. So that potential is there. We know we need the infrastructure. We're going after these guys.
But who would run that? DHS? DHS or the Pentagon?
What you probably don't know, there's already a migrant center there. It's been there for decades. So we're just going to expand upon the existing migrant center.
How would logistics work for that? How would you get migrants down to Guantanamo?
We plan with Guantanamo postcard. They encounter people in risk.
The worst of the worst is where that.
Wait, did he say fly him down and send him a postcard? Is that what I just heard?
DHS or the Pentagon?
What you probably don't know, there's already a migrant center there. It's been there for decades. So we're just going to expand upon the existing migrant center.
How would logistics work for that? How would you get migrants down to Guantanamo?
We plan with Guantanamo postcard. They encounter people in risk.
The worst of the worst is where that could be utilized. So that potential is there. We know we need the infrastructure.
And why are none of the reporters asking the obvious question is why do you want to send them to a known black site where you have been known to commit war crimes and torture prisoners? That's the whole reason for Guantanamo Bay, was to hold terrorists so you could torture them extrajudiciously. One of the reporters is asking, well, how are you going to get them down there? Fuck.
We're going after these guys.
But who would run that? DHS? DHS or the Pentagon?
What you probably don't know, there's already a migrant center there. It's been there for decades. So we're just going to expand upon the existing migrant center.
How would logistics work for that? How would you get migrants down to Guantanamo?
We plan with Guantanamo postcard. they encounter people in maritime, they can take them straight to Guantanamo Bay. The worst of the worst, the significant public safety threats, we can fly them. We fly.
We're doing it. We're already doing it.
Would that be more expensive?
We're building it out and using more
What is
resources.
the worst?
Yes,
What is the
Mr.
worst
Holman,
of
what
the
kind of,
worst?
Secretary Noem, what kind of civilian oversight would there be?
Civilian oversight?
Yeah.
The current civilian oversight that we have in our federal government today. We had an election in November that clearly said the American people don't want these criminals and dangerous individuals on our streets anymore. We're taking care of it at the direction
Madam
of President
Secretary,
Trump.
what's your message for Polish Americans who voted for President Trump and may have neighbors or family members who are undocumented, who are illegally here?
Listen, the law applies to everybody. It applies to American citizens. It applies to people who come.
Apparently, it doesn't apply to
held
Republicans.
accountable for breaking our laws.
The law applies to everybody except Donald Trump.
Are you worried about relations at all?
1,500 violent criminals he emptied into our country.
You can't find another state, federal, local, or city that has higher detention standards than ICE. So every facility, including Gitmo, will have the highest.
So ICE would be running it. That's actually really helpful. So ICE would be running and would be staffing that.
Run out of top of my end.
You said it was already currently running.
Mr. Holman, isn't it
You all are spending your time.
What's her name again? She thinks this is her moment. Caitlin Collins, right? Like she really thinks she's gonna make her name off of the second Trump administration.
Today, covering Laken Riley and her family and this bill and the tools
Yeah, CNN.
we give to make sure that.
But she's from like some right-wing outlet.
We're covering that. One question that we'd like to ask is if you have a sense of how much money it will
Like
cost
she started at the Daily Caller or some shit.
Or the facility.
in the facility at Guantanamo Bay that the
Working
president
on that
announced.
with reconciliation and appropriators in the House.
Are you finishing the TPS program? Is the TPS
What is the future of the TPS program for Ukrainians? Are you going to continue?
Thank you. Thanks,
What
guys.
will happen to the Venezuelans whose TPS is finalized?
And any actions will be taken on those who are detained at Guantanamo Bay?
You wanted to verify that. Worked at the Daily Caller from 2014 to 2017. They didn't want to slander her. If I was getting her mixed up with somebody else, but nope, she worked for the Daily Caller. Yet another sign about how CNN made a right turn, yet conservatives still hate it. MSNBC's made a complete right turn, conservatives still hate it. There's no pleasing them. Fox isn't conservative. I take issue with their use of the word conservative. That's not at all what conservative means. Edmund Burke would punch Trump in the fucking face. Let's talk about the fear that immigration enforcement is causing in New York City.
We turn now to President Trump's immigration crackdown. This afternoon, he signed the Laken Riley Act into law, a key part of his plan to curb illegal immigration. The bill requires federal authorities detain immigrants who lack legal status and are accused of crimes, including several misdemeanor offenses, with the potential for deportation even before they're convicted. President Trump also announced that he wants to send undocumented immigrants to the infamous Guantanamo Bay prison. Meanwhile, a reputed Venezuelan gang member busted during yesterday's immigration raids in the Bronx went before a federal judge. Eyewitness News reporter Joe Torres live in Inwood. Joe?
Sandra, we'll get to that in a second, but here in Inwood, we are outside the Northern Manhattan Coalition for Immigrant Rights, one of 60 organizations across the 5 boroughs of New York City that will benefit from $2 million in emergency funding allocated by the New York City Council. And in light of the federal immigration crackdown, those organizations told us today that is money they desperately need.
When our communities are under attack, what do we do?
But fighting back can be costly. So today, when the city council speaker announced $2 million in funding for dozens of immigrant advocacy groups across the city, it was welcome news. Yesenia Mata is the executive director of La Colmena, a non-profit community-based organization on Staten Island.
Through this funding, what we're able to do is provide services to the community on site, to have attorneys on site, to have interpretation on site.
The announcement and the money follow the immigration crackdown and executive actions ordered by President Trump. On Tuesday, the new Secretary of Homeland Security joined federal agents and the NYPD as authorities arrested 20 people wanted on criminal charges. The enforcement actions happened in Washington Heights, Queens, and the Bronx, and that's where authorities took into custody Anderson Zambrano Pacheco. Today, the reputed Venezuelan gang member appeared in federal court on a charge of possession of a firearm while a fugitive from justice. Investigators released a photo of the loaded 9mm handgun they found in a dresser drawer inside the 25-year-old's apartment. The prospect of more operations focused not just on violent criminals, but on the undocumented, has New York's immigrant population living in fear. Listen to what Alicia Portada told us this afternoon. She is the deputy director of Mixteca, an organization that assists the growing Mexican and Latin American community in Sunset Park, Brooklyn.
Definitely the fear is real. We have experienced in our offices as well a drop of visits that we usually get.
If you're a migrant in New York City, you can go about your life, no problem. But the minute you break the law, you become a criminal. Then you become our problem.
I'm laughing at that for a specific reason.
City Council
Stick with me here.
also announced the allocation of $1.4 million for the creation of something it calls the New York City Community Interpreter Bank. That is another service that will benefit many undocumented immigrants. It's a service that allows them to access information, understand documents, take advantage of resources in their preferred language. Live in Inwood tonight, I'm Joe Torres, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
747, good evening. Well, here's the thing. The don't break the law crowd. Let me lay this one on you. According to Colombian authorities, all 200 of the migrants sent back on the flights that Trump made a big deal about a couple of days ago, they weren't criminals. Deportation flights between the U.S. and Colombia resumed on Tuesday after a diplomatic dispute. Colombian migrants returning home described it being shackled like criminals during earlier U.S. flights that were blocked by Colombian President Gustavo Petro amid a standoff with President Donald Trump that almost led to a trade war. Trump made immigration a central theme of his successful presidential campaign, and Americans largely support his mass deportation plans, which is still absurd to me. How are people this fucking stupid? New York Times Ipsos poll carried out from January 2nd to 10th found 55% of voters strongly or somewhat supported such plans. 88% supported deporting immigrants who are here illegally and have criminal records. Large majorities of both Democrats and Republicans agreed that the immigration system is broken. I agree that it's broken. We just don't invest enough into it. Wrong place, wrong time is one person out of 200, not all 200 of the 200 here. Now, see. If all 200 of them aren't criminals, then it is clear that what we have is a racist ethnic cleansing. It's an ethnic cleansing, and you are advocating for it. Pretty fucked up. Lenny, good evening. The resumption of deportation flights between the two countries is a key moment in U.S.-Colombian relations, with the diplomatic drama over the weekend exposing tensions between the Trump administration and the Latin American country. Call it what it is. That's ethnic cleansing. Colombia's president initially refused to accept 2 U.S. military planes carrying migrants, prompting President Trump to threaten 25% tariffs on Colombian exports. The standoff ended with Colombia agreeing to accept the migrants but insisting they be flown back on Colombian military flights, a move that Colombia's Petro argued would ensure the deportees' dignity. No, it's not a complicated issue. You can't do fucking inhumane shit and then be like, oh, it's complicated. No, it's fucking pretty black and white. when we get further down the road and it becomes crystal clear what's going on in the country, I mean, you'll have blood on your hands because I fucking told you. We all saw it coming a mile away. I even, in 2015, I told a radio host that if Donald Trump was elected, he would not leave office willingly. And wouldn't you know who won the pony? Migrants returning on the U.S. flights described inhumane conditions, including being shackled during transport. Jose Montana, a migrant from Medellin, recalled the shackling. We were shackled from our feet, our ankles, to our hips like criminals. He also noted that some women were shackled in the front of their children. Carlos Gomez, a migrant from Barranquilla, shared a similar story describing his journey from Colombia to the U.S. as a failed pursuit of the American dream. Trump defended the use of restraint, saying it was necessary for security. Colombian officials rejected his assertions, saying that the deportees did not have criminal backgrounds. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, and I swear to God, if that dude that Dr. Phil was talking to that we watched the other night, if that dude ends up to not be a child sex trafficker like he asserted, I am gonna laugh my fucking ass off. As if we can go to the courts and actually seek relief anymore. It's sickening what's going on in this country. Gustavo Petro, the president of Colombia, says migrants are not criminals. They are human beings who want to work and get ahead in life. Trump said on Monday at a policy conference at House Republicans held at his Doral Golf Club in Florida, we were being scolded because we had them in shackles in an airplane, and he said, this is no way to treat people. He added, you've got to understand, these are murderers, drug lords, gang members, just the toughest people you've ever met or seen. Apparently 20 of them were children. I love how Newsweek does not list the numbers. It's a complicated issue. Apparently, vans packed with Chinese migrants were stopped in Florida, and 2 smugglers were arrested. What the fuck is going on in Florida this time? It's been kind of quiet in Florida stories here on the show. Fucking, he is indeed a moron. All right-wingers are morons. Well, I'm sorry. Generalization fallacy. Not all right-wingers. You're either a duper or a dupee in the Republican Party. Some of them are dupers. The perfect way to describe the right side of the political spectrum. Vans packed with Chinese migrants stopped in Florida.
Let's get to Florida now, where there's a Republican rebellion of sorts. The governor, Ron DeSantis, criticizing members of his own party for refusing to hold a special session to help implement President Trump's immigration policies. Now, you may remember that DeSantis drew national attention for flying the migrants to Martha's Vineyard and other places, and now he's locked in a fight with the Republican-dominated state legislature that's been trying to strip away some of his authority on immigration, going as far to say his veto pen is at the ready. News Nation senior national correspondent Brian Enton is on the case, live from Coral Gables with that and more. But let's start with this. What can you tell us about what's going on with the governor?
Yeah, let me tell you, Connell, first of all, this is very, very unusual, especially in Florida, because the legislature, for the most part, over the last several years, Republican-controlled, Republican legislature, they're the ones in charge, they have pretty much done everything that Governor Ron DeSantis has asked them to do. So this is very, very different, and he's reacting in a way he's very upset about this. Basically, he has asked the legislature to have this very, very strong immigration bill that would require local police to work with the feds when it comes to immigration and really, really crack down. And he says that they are not going far enough One thing that has the governor especially upset, which is sort of unusual, is
tell us about the smugglers.
Put immigration under the agricultural commissioner, not the governor. And the governor believes that's because they're trying to protect some of these illegal migrants that aren't making a lot of money working out on the farms, that sort of thing. And he's been calling out his Republican legislature. Look at this. This is what the governor posted on social media.
Now, they've named this bill the Trump Act, but that's a misnomer because President Trump's been very strong coming out of the gate on immigration enforcement. He wants to solve this problem once and for all. The bill they did is more window dressing. It is not going to solve the problem.
So he calls it window dressing, Connell, and he says the only reason that they called it the Trump Act was to sort of appease President Trump. What's interesting is we haven't heard anything from the president yet on this, but the governor has made very, very clear that for some reason the Republican legislature does not want to take these immigration issues seriously right now.
So some kind of political intrigue there in Florida. So it's all immigration related, which is the other story we wanted to talk to you about as you're there in Coral Gables, where there's been this story developing about migrants, in particular Chinese migrants coming through Florida. What's going on with this exactly?
Yeah, so we're in Coral Gables, which, if you know, is a very ritzy, sort of high-class part of Miami, and it's.
Oh, we can tell.
The last 2 weeks, there have been van loads of Chinese migrants pulled over here, right in this neighborhood where I am in Coral Gables, along with smugglers. And we're talking like dozens and dozens of Chinese migrants. We've been trying to get to the bottom of it. Apparently, the police chief believes they may have come ashore somewhere in the area behind me in South Florida and then been trafficked through Coral Gables. The Caribbean, we know, is sort of a hotbed right now for Chinese activity. It's been called America's third border. The Chinese, they're buying up a lot of land on the Caribbean islands, and sometimes the Chinese migrants will stop there and then make their way here to South Florida. Listen to what one lawmaker told me a little while ago.
In the case of the Chinese, you don't know the affiliation with the Chinese Communist Party, and that's the concern, because the Chinese Communist Party will leverage Chinese nationals to do things that are nefarious and against the interests of the United States.
And it was actually just neighbors out here, Connell, in Coral Gables, who alerted police both times. At one time, they called 911 thinking there was a kidnapping going down because they were moving some of these Chinese migrants and smugglers from a car into the vans. And then police came out here and realized that it was a smuggling operation.
Wow,
Connell?
another weird one. All right, Brian, thank you, Brian.
Another weird one.
Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.
Oh, shut up, Connell.
Your television provider.
He doesn't even look real. This guy's AI, isn't he?
To get more of news.
He's creepy. He's like fucking Matt Gaetz' brother-in-law or some brother-in-law. He couldn't look like him if he's his brother-in-law. I'm sleepy. I'm sorry. Not high enough for this shit. I fucked my joke up. He does look like Matt Gaetz, though. Got the same kind of haircut. Holiday, good evening. Lenny, good evening. 747? I don't know. So many illegals. What are you talking about? It's weird to refer to humans as illegals. I prefer the term migrant because that's what they are. They're not illegal. I don't think a human being can be illegal. It kind of pisses me off. We covered all the weird shit going on in Tennessee, the crazy ass shit going on at the Tennessee State House. It continued today, as long as we're on the topic of immigration. A debate about immigration in the Tennessee State House got heated. Audience members had to be forcibly removed. Buddy, who gives a shit if they're undocumented? They ain't bothering nobody. And what right-wingers always leave out is that our fucking economic system depends on them. We exploit their labor. Capitalism couldn't exist without exploited labor. Gotta throw that one out there. 2, they pay far more into the system than they take out. So you're honestly taking advantage of them. I would rather allow them to stay, give them a path to citizenship. Because why the fuck not? I'm a white person. I've got no claim to this fucking land. Nobody has claim to land. Nobody can tell another human being what piece of land he can be on. It's weird. Why do people have that mindset? I can't wrap my head around it. Who are you? What right do you have to tell someone that there's an imaginary line on the ground? Fucking think about it. Fucking unplug yourself from the system. Stop being a slave, my friend. If I start talking like that, that's like Russell Brand kind of shit. Just start using conspiracy theory language. You think I can deprogram some right-wing dipshits? DJ Dub, did I tell you good evening? I don't even remember, and it was like 2 seconds ago. Good evening, my friend. Down in Tennessee, they being batshit crazy again today. Let's do it.
Here illegally are criminals.
This isn't an immigration bill. This is a mass deportation bill.
For the last 4 years, we've had a virtually open and porous border.
No, we haven't.
We might as well take the Constitution and rip it up.
Pointed words and heated debate over Tennessee's role in illegal immigration.
This bill is nothing more than fascism in disguise.
All led up to this.
The first four ladies.
Well, I was sitting and...
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. From there over, have all been snapping and being disruptive.
Immigrants and refugees are going to be treated in
How about
this
we drag
manner
them in here?
all over the country.
3 women, including a grandmother.
I did nothing wrong or nothing illegal. You all saw that. It's on the tape.
Were physically removed from the House Immigration Committee hearing in the arms of state troopers.
We heard all the outrage from the right about the MAGA grandmother. Where's the outrage over all these grandmothers, the Code Pink grandmothers that get roughed up? It's almost like they're hypocrites.
We shall not be moved.
A Methodist pastor saying as she was carried out.
Together we shall not be moved.
The committee chair said they were being disruptive, but that's not how they saw it.
We hadn't said anything. We hadn't broken any rules.
And are we not already doing these things?
On the bill itself, it would essentially create a Tennessee border czar that would coordinate with the Trump administration. It would also give out grants to encourage.
And now, so this was a religious organization, and we just heard all the outrage about the pro-life protesters, the ones that were harassing women outside of an abortion clinic, the one that stole fetuses from a clinic. About their imprisonment for breaking the law because they were harassing people. These women are demonstrating in a house that they own. Their taxes pay for. A public arena for debate and protest. Where's the outrage?
Do the same.
We are going to fully cooperate with the federal government in removing illegal immigrants from this country.
Additionally, it adds a new marker to state IDs belonging
Lenny,
to
thank you for giving out the gift sub.
And controversially, punishes local lawmakers for even casting a vote to create a sanctuary city in their community.
This should not be illegal or felonious to cast a vote as an elected official.
Sanctuary cities are already illegal in Tennessee.
Voting to establish a sanctuary city is just that. We're not going to have that here in the state of Tennessee.
Welcome in, Lenny's nephew.
Bill moves on to finance.
Despite the controversy and passionate debate, the immigration legislation had no problem sailing through House committees.
Of course.
The ayes have it. So House Bill 6001 moves on to calendar and rules.
This is all setting the stage for a contentious debate Thursday morning in the Tennessee House, where both the school voucher expansion and these immigration bills are expected to be debated on the floor. At the Capitol, Chris Davis. News.
Fucking voucher bullshit. Rotten shit going on in Tennessee. I went to college in Tennessee. I've spent a lot of my life in Tennessee. Breaks my heart, but that's the way it's always been. Leaders in Chicago are questioning the motives, calling this a publicity stunt, which is exactly what it is.
It comes on the heels of yesterday's controversial ICE immigration arrests. The U.S. border czar calling the operation a success. Some Chicago officials say they're not so sure. Here's political reporter Paris Schutz.
Answers are few and far between this evening when it comes to how many Chicago residents were swept up in these actions and who exactly they were.
And can I ask when we would, like, wasn't the whole czar thing, like, Fox News trying to throw a label on, I don't even remember which Obama administration official it was, that they were just like calling somebody a czar as an attempt to slander them. Do we have official positions called czars now? This is very weird. Fascism really does just creep up all of a sudden, doesn't it? Just inch by inch, just.
Some local officials say yesterday's raid was a made-for-TV PR stunt, but border czar Tom Homan says they removed violent criminals from the city's.
Is that literally his title?
Assault allegations, extreme sexual assault. These are all bad people, public safety threats. They shouldn't be walking the streets of Chicago.
Border czar Tom Homan taking a victory lap on Fox News this afternoon after joining in yesterday's immigration arrests with ICE and other federal agents. The proceedings were recorded live by Trump-supporting media personality Dr. Phil. City Council Public Safety Committee Chair, 2nd Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins says he was unimpressed.
We should have standard procedures and well-thought policies in place to do it. It shouldn't be done as a publicity stunt with Dr. Phil following you around. That is not the way to do it. So it looked like the federal government, at least yesterday, they were trying to do the right thing, but they did it the wrong way, and they did it for the wrong reasons.
In all, ICE reports 956 arrests nationwide.
Were they trying to do the right thing?
To local officials asking them,
or did they do exactly what they were trying to do?
They can be transferred to federal custody. But ICE did not say how many of those arrests and detainers were in Chicago or who exactly was taken in. Beyond a few they've chosen to highlight, like Adan Pablo Ramirez, who they say has 2 DUI convictions on his record. North Shore Democratic Congressman Brad Schneider says he's not sure ICE went after the right people. Quote, what's disturbing about this week's raids is it appears that rather than focusing on dangerous criminals, irrespective of their immigration status,
light one up, tip one back.
Making a show of force to sow fear by seemingly going after people who are law-abiding, who have been here for decades, who are valued members of our community, Schneider said.
Suspects are processed through an ICE facility in Bridgeview and taken to detention centers across the country. Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Chicago Police Department says they were notified in advance of the actions but did not participate, following city and state sanctuary laws. Paris Schutz, Fox 32 Chicago.
I hate it here. Warlord, are you going to do the thing to help me raise money to go to the UK? He never gave me an answer. I don't know if he's even still here. We probably, let's do Bernie first. We'll do Bernie first. Big political news today, of course, was the confirmation hearing for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I'm going to do my best to get up tomorrow morning because it's also Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation hearing. So tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., I'm going to do my best to be here with you. We're going to watch some crazy-ass confirmation hearings, but let me get you caught up with what happened today. First, we're going to go with Senator Bernie Sanders questioning RFK about his vaccine stances.
Mr. Kennedy, thanks for being with us. I very much like the slogan that you coined, Make America Healthy Again. And I strongly agree with that effort. Despite spending, as you indicated, 2 or 3 times as much per capita on healthcare as other nations, we have 85 million people who are uninsured, underinsured. We have all kinds of chronic illnesses. Our life expectancy is lower than other countries. And for working class people in this country, they are living 6-7 years shorter lives than the top 1%. We got a problem, okay? And I'm going to suggest some ideas.
Top 1%, like, you know, Trump's cabinet.
Last year, the insurance industry in this country made over $70 billion, while at the same time, 85 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. Do you agree with me that the United States should join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people as a human right?
He had that position at one point in time.
Senator, I can't give you a yes or no answer to that question.
Health care a human right? Is health care a human right?
In the way that free speech is a human right, yeah. I would say it's different because with free speech doesn't cost anybody anything, but in healthcare, if you smoke cigarettes for 20 years and you get cancer, you are now
you should still get treatment
from the pool.
Ban cigarettes.
Are you guaranteed the same right, or is there also a duty?
I'm sorry. I'd love to talk for an hour with you. We got a few minutes left here. All right. Every other country.
I think if you want to smoke, that should be perfectly legal. You should raise your own tobacco. Or you should, maybe you could, like, we don't outlaw, like, a certain type of tobacco. We fucking ban cigarette companies. Like, that's the answer, is to stop the capitalistic incentive. Smoking tobacco is one thing. Having a product that is engineered to hook you and keep you hooked and even injects you with worse chemicals than just regular tobacco, that's a completely different story than being able to smoke straight tobacco. Which if you want to roll your own cigarettes, I'm down with it. Like, I used to smoke. It's very enjoyable. I don't want to take a freedom away from somebody, but like, the fucking cigarette manufacturers are fucking evil.
It says healthcare, whether you're poor or rich, young or old, to human right. I'm not hearing you say that. All right, you've talked about the drug companies, and maybe we agree on this one. As you all know, despite the drug companies,
I still think everybody should have healthcare.
Billion in profits, paying CEOs outrageous compensation packages, we in some cases pay 10 times more for the same drug. Will you support legislation that I will introduce which says that in America we should not be paying a nickel more for prescription drugs than people around the rest of the world? Yes, no?
To equalize it?
Not to equalize it, that we should not be paying more than other countries for the same damn drug.
President Trump has asked me. In fact, I had a meeting with President Trump a week ago where we showed him the charts.
He knows the charts.
We're paying 10 times more from Europe.
That's right. And are you going to commit to us that you will end that absurdity?
I think in principle we can. We should end that disparity.
Good. Okay. That's great. All right. I happen to believe.
No, he's getting his message across. He's using this opportunity.
And it is a healthcare issue.
Welcome in, question mark.
Trump thinks that it is a hoax originating in China. Question is, in your judgment, is climate change a hoax or is it real, causing devastating problems?
President Trump and I, from the beginning, from our first meeting, agreed to disagree on that issue. I believe climate change is existential. My job is to make Americans healthy again.
All right, you believe that you disagree with Trump? You don't think climate change is a hoax, is what I'm hearing.
My job here is to make
I'll just ask you that, Mr. Kenny, not a trick question.
I answered your question, Senator Sanders.
Okay, so you disagree with the president on that.
I answered your question.
Okay. I'm going to pick up on a point that Senator Hassan made. Look, there is no question that abortion is a divisive issue in this country. I would say a majority of the people are pro-choice. There's a strong minority who are pro-life. A year and a half ago, you went to New Hampshire, running for president, gave a speech, and you talked about government should not tell a woman what she can do with her own body. That's her choice. Now, I think
Cheryl left him yet?
side is pro-life. I think everybody here is pro-choice. I have never seen any major politician flip on that issue quite as quickly as you did when Trump asked you to become HHS secretary. Tell me why you think people should have confidence in your consistency and in your word when you really made a major U-turn on an issue of that importance in such a short time.
Senator, I believe, and I've always believed, that every abortion is a tragedy.
But you told the people of New Hampshire that it was their right. All right, let me do a last question here because I'm running out of time. I think the gist of what you were trying to say today is you're really pro-vaccine, you want to ask questions. You have started a group called the Children's Health Defense. You're the originator. Right now, as I understand it, on their website, they are selling what's called onesies. These are little things, clothing for babies. One of them is titled Unvaxxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way. Next one.
What a ripoff.
No vax, no problem. Now, you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded
You resigned from the board a few months ago.
You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines. I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that product. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That he founded. He founded it. God damn. Right, this is apparently the fiery one today. Buckle up. I noticed that RFK was pretty laid back with Bernie. But when faced with a woman, he kind of came claws out.
Kennedy, I want to start with something that I think you and I agree on, and that is that Big Pharma has too much power in Washington. You've said that President Trump asked you to, quote, clean up corruption and conflicts. Sounds great. You've said that you will, quote, slam shut the revolving door between government agencies and the companies they regulate. That also sounds great. So here's an easy question. Will you commit that when you leave this job, you will not accept compensation from a drug company, a medical device company, a hospital system, or a health insurer for at least 4 years, including as a lobbyist or a board member?
Can you just...
He was a good corporate lawyer at one, like an anti-corporate lawyer. Like, he sued fucking big corporations. Like, at one point in time, the dude was based. So I don't know.
Repeat the last part of the question. Can I commit
You're
to
not going
what?
to take money from drug companies in any way, shape, or form.
Who? Me?
Yes, you.
Oh. Yeah, I'm happy to commit to that.
Okay, good. That's what I figured. I said it's an easy question to start with. And I think you're right on this question.
I don't think any of them want to give me money, by the way.
Let's keep going. You're right because to say yes, because every American has the right to know that every decision you make as our number one health officer is to help them and not to make money for yourself in the future. So I want to talk more about money. I'm looking at your paperwork right now. In the past 2 years, you've raked in $2.5 million from a law firm called Wisner Baum. You go online commercials to encourage people to sign up with Wisner Baum to join lawsuits against vaccine makers. And for everyone who signs up, you personally get paid. And if they win their case, you get 10% of what they win. So if you bring in somebody who gets $10 million, you walk away with $1 million. Now, you just said that you want the American people to know you can't be bought. Your decisions won't depend on how much money you could make in the future. You won't go to work for a drug company after you leave HHS. But you and I both know there's another way to make money. So, Mr. Kennedy, will you also agree that you won't take any compensation from any lawsuits against drug companies while you are secretary and for 4 years afterwards?
Well, I'll certainly commit to that while I'm secretary. But I do want to clarify something because you're making me sound like a shill. I put together that case. I did the Science Day presentation to the judge on that case to get it into court.
Mr. Kennedy, it's just a really simple question.
Yeah,
You've taken in $2.5 million. I want to know if you will commit right now that...
Oh, shit, that's Cheryl over his shoulder. I just realized that. I thought it was Megyn Kelly, but Megyn Kelly's beside Cheryl. Dump him, please, Cheryl.
Not only will you not go to work for drug companies, you won't go to work suing the drug companies and taking your rake out of that while you're a secretary and for 4 years after. It's just...
I'll commit to not taking any fees from drug companies while I'm secretary.
No, I'm asking about fees from suing drug companies. Will you agree not to do that?
You're asking me to not
I love her, though, DJ Dub.
I'm not going to agree to that,
drug
Senator.
companies as much as you want.
I'm not going to agree to not sue drug companies or anybody.
So let's do a quick count here of how, as Secretary of HHS, if you get confirmed, you could influence every one of those lawsuits. Well, let me start the list. You could publish your anti-vaccine conspiracies, but this time on U.S. government letterhead, something a jury might be impressed by. You could appoint people to the CDC vaccine panel.
Ooh, see, I didn't really get why Warren was questioning him on taking fees from law firms. Like, that's what he does. But I see now. I see. That is unethical. Okay, yeah, commit to that, Bobby.
Who share your anti-vax views and let them do your dirty work. You could tell the CDC vaccine panel to remove a particular vaccine from the vaccine schedule. You could remove vaccines from special compensation programs, which would open up manufacturers to mass torts. You could make more injuries eligible for compensation even if there is no causal evidence. You could change vaccine court processes to make it easier to bring junk lawsuits. You could turn over FDA data to your friends at the law firm, and they could use it however it benefited them. You could change vaccine labeling. You could change vaccine information rules. You could change which claims are compensated in the vaccine injury compensation program. There's a lot of ways that you can influence those future lawsuits and pending lawsuits while you are Secretary of HHS, and I'm asking you to commit right now that you will not take a financial stake in every one of
Damn,
those lawsuits,
fantastic.
so that what you do as
Senator Warren.
secretary will also benefit you financially down the line.
I'll comply with all the ethical guidelines.
That's not the question. You and I, you have said
You're asking me,
repeatedly,
Senator,
both
you're
ethics
asking me not to sue vaccine pharmaceutical companies.
My
Yeah, you
question
are.
is stop
That's exactly
enriching
what you're doing.
health. Look, no one should be fooled here. As
fought that
Secretary
from-
of HHS, Robert Kennedy will have the power to undercut vaccines and vaccine manufacturing across our country. And for all of his talk about follow the science and his promise that he won't interfere with those of us who want to vaccinate his kids, the bottom line is the same. Kennedy can kill off access to vaccines and make millions of dollars while he does it. Kids might die, but Robert Kennedy can keep cashing in.
Senator, I support vaccines. I support the childhood schedule. I will do that. The only thing I want is good science, and that's it.
How about then say you won't make money off what you do as Secretary of HHS?
Before we go to Senator...
Damn. Great job. I know. She's a snake. I still, to this day, like we could be living in a completely different timeline. Had she dropped out and been Bernie's running mate when it was very obvious that she didn't have a chance and he absolutely could have won. It's very infuriating. Ooh. Good evening, 7 Heavy Still. How are you, my friend? What do you guys think? Do you think RFK is going to get the votes to be confirmed? I've not heard of any Republicans that are going to come out against him. Apparently, Lisa Murkowski or Susan Collins, the supposed swing votes, you better be worried because Nicole Shanahan is going to come for you.
Also want to say to Senators Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, Bill Cassidy, Tom Tillis, James Lankford, Cory Booker, John Fetterman, Bernie Sanders, and Catherine Cortez Masto, this is a bipartisan message, and it comes directly from me. While Bobby may be willing to play nice, I won't. If you vote against him, I will personally fund challengers to primary you in your next election. Also want to say to Senators Mitch McConnell,
it wasn't just Warren. I totally realize that. And also, good evening, Michael. But she was like, Warren and Bernie were courting the same coalition. And it was obvious pretty early on. Oh, DJ Dub, what fucking, she's like a billionaire. She was RFK's running mate in the primary. Or not primary, wasn't in the primaries in the general election when he was running as a third party. She was his vice president, and she was the CEO of something. But it says she's an attorney. Working in Silicon Valley. She has a legal tech company. But she's like a billionaire, isn't she? Wikipedia is not telling me this. Because that's why he selected her. 1011, welcome in. Let me look up her net worth. Over $1 billion. Yeah, she's a billionaire. So that is why she was RFK's running mate. Caroline Kennedy speaking out against her cousin. I don't even know who she is. Is it his sister?
I've known Bobby my whole life. We grew up together.
JFK's daughter?
It's no surprise that he keeps birds of prey as pets, because Bobby himself is a predator. He's always been charismatic, able to attract others through the strength of his personality, his willingness to take risks, and break the rules. I watch his younger brothers and cousins follow him down the path of drug addiction. His basement, his garage, his dorm room were always the center of the action, where drugs were available, and he enjoyed showing off how he put baby chickens and mice in a blender to feed to his hawks. It was often a perverse scene of despair and violence. Bobby continues to grandstand off my father's assassination and that of his own father. It's incomprehensible to me that someone who is willing to exploit their own painful family tragedies for publicity would be put in charge of America's life and death situations.
But he is. Ethan, absolutely, I think healthcare is a human right. I don't understand how anybody couldn't. How is it like you'd have to explain it to me like I was 5. I would really like to know. Right, let's do a little crime news here. Once again, if you're just joining us, I am freeballing tonight. That's what we call it. I usually do a pretty put together show, but I'm operating on 3 hours of sleep. Not exactly doing my best tonight. Bagheera, my friend, good evening. An East Tennessee man who was one of the first people to enter the U.S. Capitol on January 6th is asking for his conviction in a plot to murder federal investigators at the FBI Knoxville field office to be dismissed. Edward Kelly of Maryville was convicted of 11 charges related including assaulting officers and destruction of government property before President Donald Trump's decision to pardon more than 1,500 people with crimes in the January 6, 2021 attack. In 2024 and Maryville. Yeah, my pot dealer in college was from Maryville. Kelly and 26-year-old Austin Carter of Knoxville were convicted of conspiracy to murder federal employees. Prosecutors found that while on pretrial release in the January 6 case, the pair developed a kill list of FBI agents and others involved in the January 6 investigation. Carter testified that he and Kelly planned to attack the Knoxville FBI field office using car bombs and incendiary devices appended to drones. A sentencing hearing has been scheduled for early May. Common Sense 69. Nice. Welcome in, friends. We're in the crime section. I've got a couple of wild body cam footages. Got a couple of wild body cams to watch tonight. Oh, curiouser. I had a really large project that, I procrastinated and waited till the last minute on, so I was trying to get it done last night. Took a little break and fell asleep. Woke up at like 8:30 this morning. Apparently, the FBI caught its most wanted fugitive. We even have body camera of the arrest.
Big story at 5:30 tonight. A man on the top 10 most wanted FBI list arrested and caught right here in Central Florida. It all started with a routine traffic stop, but quickly ended a years-long search for this alleged child predator.
His name is Donald Fields II. He was arrested in Lake County yesterday.
The news.
He was put on the most wanted list back in May of 2023 for child sex trafficking charges. And Fox 35's Kelsey Cairns is live in Lady Lake tonight with that story. So Kelsey, you spoke to the officer about this arrest. How'd this all go down?
Yes, that's exactly right. John and Luann, this
police
officer was acting on instinct when she pulled over Donald Fields Saturday morning. Well, she didn't know who she was pulling over initially, and it was his fraudulent sticker on his vehicle that initially tipped her off about this.
I went up, tip one back.
Hands on your back. What? Put your hands behind your back.
That's a top 10 most wanted fugitive by the FBI getting cuffed by Lady Lake police officers.
It was a little eye-opening to me that we have people like that riding around all over on our streets, especially here in Lady Lake. All right, hands up. Thank you.
Lady Lake Sergeant Michelle Bilbrey is credited with tracking down 60-year-old Donald Eugene Fields II. Fields has headlined the top 10 list for almost 2 years now. The feds have been looking for him in connection with child sex crimes.
Children from Florida to Missouri and beyond are safer today thanks to the diligence and brave actions of these officers.
No panic. Go figure. Open your door.
Sergeant Bilbrey's attention to detail is what got Fields off the streets. Lady Lake police say she noticed something off about a vehicle on Saturday morning that was driving near US 27 and Rolling Acres Road. The vehicle didn't match the description associated with its tag, and police say the sticker for his registration date was fraudulent.
Sorry, I asked you that earlier if you had any weapons in the vehicle. You told me no, and now you said I could have a gun. I don't know. Ma'am, you get back in.
That wasn't the only fake thing investigators say he tried to get away with. Fields allegedly handed over a driver's license linked to someone 10 years younger, but that didn't fool Sergeant Bilbrey.
We continued to call him by the false name that he provided because we didn't want to alert him that we were really on to what his true identity was.
This guy's on the FBI most wanted list if this is him.
During the traffic stop, officers discovered Fields was wanted on charges related to child sex abuse and rape out of Missouri. Over time,
Surrogate overlord. We have another lord in the house.
To conceal his identity. This tattoo and his fingerprint helped investigators ID him.
How was he able to stay in Florida as long?
Look at them titties.
Transitory throughout Florida and maybe even back and forth to some degree. But they thought there was a potential he'd been in this area.
And also in that truck, from what we showed you in that body cam video, officers were able to recover a gun as well. Now, Fields is going to appear before a federal judge here in Florida before he's extradited back to Missouri.
I feel like we probably watched all the good juicy shit out of this, but I do kind of want to watch it. Here we go.
Sorry for taking. I didn't know if I was supposed to pull over back there or not.
You're good. Okay. All right. Hands up. Thank you. Driver's license, registration, insurance.
Okay.
Thank you. You got any weapons in the vehicle?
I don't think so.
Okay. So whose truck is this?
Joe Michaels. I'm an employee.
Okay. So this tag does not come back to this vehicle. This tag's not assigned to any vehicle.
Well, I don't know that. If you look, I'm a construction guy, so I do. Oh, hands up.
Okay, but as the driver of the vehicle, you're responsible for it. You have to make sure that it's legal.
I don't know all that.
Which is why I'm going to ask you for your insurance, your registration
She did
as
it all.
well.
She did
And
it.
she's okay. Great.
I work right, not trying to turn fast toward you. Right here at Lady Lakes, we're putting the pot boys on it.
Surrogate, I will tell you that sometimes when I am listening to podcasts, it auto plays the Troll Patrol while I'm sleeping, and it gives me nightmares.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
It is very jarring to hear yourself talking to yourself.
No, get my updated one. I don't have your updated one. Sure. Give me 1 second, please. I don't know where the information on the truck is. I don't know that stuff, you know.
Well, good thing you got her with you, huh?
We've been there, like I said, for 5 months. And, okay, hold on. It's in here. I just see it.
Is that your license?
outdated ones. She's gonna find it real quick. Give me a second. I got it.
Okay. Do you have a Florida license?
No.
No. Where do you live? Okay, so no, you don't.
DJ Dub, thank you for the gift sub.
I'm just saying. It's all here.
I want to see when they find out that he's on the FBI's most wanted list.
Give me a second.
This is for work. This is a delivery I got. That tag's not attached.
He thinks he's slick, doesn't he? I'm gonna get you guys some more emotes. I've caught up on all my work. Rent's paid. I got weed. I'm gonna try to get you guys some upgrades. Never ever trust a cop.
Number out of Missouri.
Not even a female cop, even if she looks hot in uniform.
Lima 107-232-003. Walter Long.
I mean, if you want to, my lord. How does that work? We're both in legal states, but like it's not legal federally. You should be able to send gifts like that. Dude asked me if I wanted a receipt, and I'm like, eh? Not like I can write it off on my taxes. You got a Jordan Peterson emote. Or he's saying up yours, woke moralists.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
Yeah, for the most part, this is boring.
Go figure. Open your door.
Right here. This explains why. It was a wreck truck. Whoever operates
It was a total truck within the.
There's other places you wouldn't get that. Yeah, I know that.
All right.
I'm not
So we're
trying to
gonna have to find it on the vehicle. I need a VIN.
Right there.
Okay.
Thank you. There could be, yes. I don't know. That could be. Cause I always got a gun, but I don't know if I brought it. That's why I want to touch it.
Always got a gun, but I don't know if I brought it.
So I asked you that earlier if you had any weapons in the
didn't
vehicle.
know.
You told me no, and now you said I could have a gun. I don't know.
Okay, but I don't-
Liam, you get back in.
Okay.
You get back in. We're gonna deal with you one at a time.
Okay, you're fine. You're fine. You're
You
fine.
want both of them back there? All right. Walk back here. I got.
You can sit on the bumper. Okay, you're fine.
Let me grab his wallet. There's stuff in there with names. It has the same name that he provided here.
Can you step over here more? Step open my doors.
Yeah.
Unknown caller.
Hello? So, this guy's on the FBI most wanted list if this is him. But he's kind of changed his fucking description.
It's odd that the tattoo on his leg he said was burnt off.
The tattoo on his leg is burnt off.
Mr. Long, one more thing for me. Can you turn around and lift your shirt? Show this officer your back, please. All the way. There you go. That's good. Nope.
Oh, I'm sorry. What do you want to do?
Come on.
So now they know he's one of the most dangerous men in the country.
And then put your arms like.
Apparently.
What?
Put your hands behind your back.
All right. All right.
Stop
I'm
fucking
not moving.
pulling.
I'm
from
not
it,
pulling
okay?
nowhere.
Hey, back the fuck up.
Stay back.
Back
Stay
up.
back.
fucking
Stay
cuss
back.
at me!
Stay back. Stay back.
I have back on you!
Yeah, he don't look all that dangerous. I think I could take him.
Good for you. Stop.
I ain't tough.
Unless you want to go to jail too.
Shut up.
I'm
Shut
sure
up.
Missouri would love
Shut
you
up.
for your warrant.
Shut up.
Exactly.
Oh, she's got a warrant.
Shut up. You're fine.
Are you going to calm down, or do you want handcuffs?
She's fine.
You're calm? Good.
You mean you're not going to take her to jail? Really? She's got a warrant? That's wild.
Alyssa, do you have someone you can call to come pick you up?
Yeah, they're just going to let her go? That is fucking insane.
Vehicle? Okay.
What cops do that?
Who do I call? Who do I call?
Ghostbusters.
Okay, I just want you calm, okay? Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it got interesting there. They were in Florida. What kind of shit they got going on in Florida? They just let people. It's Florida. We're staying in Florida. This happened in Nassau County. What is that? Jacksonville. This is the news station out of Jacksonville. We got a cop going to the clink.
In other local news, a former Nassau County sergeant will spend more than 17 years in prison for federal drug crimes. James Darrell Hickox, he pleaded guilty to charges of conspiring to distribute narcotics, conspiring to defraud the United States, and tax evasion. News reporter Tiffany Salome was inside the courtroom for today's sentencing. She spoke with his family and shares the strong words the judge had for Hickox.
Stealing money and illegal drugs from evidence rooms are just a few things this former Nassau County sergeant is heading to federal prison for. James Darrell Hickox was sentenced to 17 and a half years for his actions dating back to 2017. Prosecutors say he abused his role as a task force officer with the Drug Enforcement Administration. During his sentencing, a judge told Hickox, "You pose a danger to the public."
Because I know my son. He don't belong there. Just got caught up in something he shouldn't have done.
The courtroom was packed with supporters of Hickox as the judge handed down his sentence, including his mom and dad, who shared concerns about his mental health as a DEA agent.
They have to
Princess Kimberly.
You're out slinging dope for the DEA, and then you go home and be a family man.
So why do you think your son committed these crimes?
Darn, he couldn't even answer that. I think because he was.
I think that makes him cooler, actually. He's still a cab.
Drug dealer for 10 years. If he hadn't had.
It's a power dynamic thing that, like, it's fucked up that he uses his position to probably put his competition out of business. Like, he's crooked as shit. But the selling drugs is probably the best thing about him.
He was a drug dealer. That's the job DEA has him doing.
Prosecutors said Hickox stole more than 1,000 pounds of marijuana, confiscated as evidence during criminal investigations, with the intent to sell it. Hickox was also dealing MDMA, fentanyl, and cocaine, and hid over $420,000 from the IRS. Prosecutors called Hickox a thief,
$420,000. I'll smoke to that. Weed, MDMA, coke, fentanyl. He stopped at $420,000.
crooked cop, and a drug dealer with a badge.
He was a drug dealer.
Yes, it was 420.
An answer that. I think because he was around it for 10 years, he was a drug dealer for 10 years. If he hadn't had a badge, He was a drug dealer. That's the job DEA has him doing.
Prosecutors said Hickox stole more than 1,000 pounds of marijuana, confiscated as evidence during criminal investigations, with the intent to sell it. Hickox was also dealing MDMA, fentanyl, and cocaine, and hid over $420,000 from the IRS. Prosecutors called Hickox a thief, a crooked cop, and a drug dealer with a badge.
He was a drug dealer. So he becomes a drug dealer, and everybody's acting surprised. I'm like, why are you so surprised? That's what y'all had him doing for 10 years.
Hickox called himself a guilty man in court Monday, apologizing to his family, the U.S. government, and his co-workers. When asked by the judge why he did what he did, Hickox blamed his actions on the fear of dying and not being able to provide for his family after a cancer diagnosis.
He did a Breaking Bad.
Quote, "I don't see how that causes an individual to engage in what you did. I'm having a hard time with that. As a sworn law enforcement officer, you disgraced law enforcement and engaged in conduct that broke the public's trust." Reporting in Jacksonville, Tiffany Salome, Channel 4, the local station.
Walter Green. He's Walter Green. He's still green.
Local station.
The judge ordered all the money in Hickox's personal bank accounts to be forfeited. A restitution amount was not determined in court this morning. That amount is expected to be decided in 90 days during hearing. As part of his sentencing, Hickox will also serve a 10-year term of supervised release. He is prohibited from opening new lines of credit and making big purchases.
Oh, well, that's good.
Probation officer's approval. He must also refrain from the use of illegal drugs and will be subject to drug testing.
Yet again, another problem that can be solved by Medicare for all. What's the chances I'm going to hit you with the exact same fucking story? This time in Utah.
A former Gunnison Valley police chief learns his fate as he is sentenced on drug and official misconduct charges. I'm Fox 13 investigative reporter Nate Carlisle. For more than 3 years, we've been digging into problems at the Gunnison Valley Police Department.
State of Utah versus Seth Tyler Hendrickson.
Seth Hendrickson was the chief of the Gunnison Valley Police Department. Monday, he was the defendant in a state court in Manti.
I got into law enforcement for the right reasons, and I'm proud of a lot of things that I did in law enforcement.
In May, drugs used to train a Gunnison Valley police dog went missing. Hendrickson tested positive for heroin. Last month, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of drug possession and a count of official misconduct, all misdemeanors.
I was dealing with my own family and personal stress that everybody deals with, but I was also carrying a decade's worth of cases and certain events that I just couldn't forget about.
Hendrickson also blamed an addiction to opioids that began after a back injury. He's already completed some drug counseling. The prosecutor told Judge Alex Goebel she wasn't recommending jail time.
I think in this case,
What?
There's a public trust that was breached. But you've done everything else, and I don't feel that I should imprison you or send you to jail.
Bullshit.
Sentenced Hendrickson to 30 days of home confinement.
Bullshit.
Probation.
Seth Hendrickson is a person of exceptional character and quality.
Zachariah Becerra is Hendrickson's attorney.
Are you shitting me?
Health condition that resulted in his criminal behavior.
Christina, welcome in.
Responsibility.
Gunnison Valley Police protect the towns of Gunnison and
Cosmopolitics.
2020.
Welcome Raiders. I am shocked by this. We just watched a story of a cop in Nassau County, Florida, get, 10 years for selling drugs. He was a DEA agent. He had a cancer diagnosis. He did a fucking Breaking Bad. And then we get to this one in Utah. This dude gets no jail time.
A former Gunnison Valley police chief learns his fate as he is sentenced on drug and official misconduct charges. I'm Fox 13 investigative reporter Nate Carlisle. For more than 3 years, we've been digging into problems at the Gunnison Valley Police Department.
State of Utah versus Seth Tyler Hendrickson.
Seth Hendrickson was the chief of the Gunnison Valley Police Department. Monday, he was the defendant in a state court in Manti.
I got into law enforcement for the right reasons, and I'm proud of a lot of things that I did in law enforcement.
In May, drugs used to train a Gunnison Valley police dog went missing. Hendrickson tested positive for heroin. Last month, he pleaded guilty to 2 counts of drug possession.
Now, to be fair, if it's just the drugs that were used to train police, this guy, the last story, he'd stole like 1,000 pounds, was dealing all kinds of shit.
And a count of official misconduct.
I don't think it's just the drugs that were used to train the dogs.
My own family and personal stress that everybody deals with, but I was also carrying a decade's worth of cases and certain events that I just couldn't forget about.
Hendrickson also blamed an addiction to opioids that began after a back injury. He's already completed some drug counseling. The prosecutor told Judge Alex Goebel she wasn't recommending jail time.
I think in this case, there is a public trust that was breached, but you've done everything else, and I don't feel that I should imprison you or send you to jail.
The judge sentenced Hendrickson to 30 days of home confinement and 2 years of probation.
Seth Hendrickson is a person of exceptional character and quality.
Zachariah Becerra is Hendrickson's attorney.
It was a medical and mental health condition that resulted in his criminal behavior, for which he's accepted full responsibility.
Gunnison Valley Police protect the towns of Gunnison and Centerfield.
I mean, I guess I can't.
The then chief.
I can't fault his attorney for saying that shit about him. He's paid to say that.
Hendrickson would replace, admitted to drinking alcohol while attending a firearms training. He retired. While Gunnison Valley was looking for a new chief, its board committed what a state agency
Thread, welcome in.
And age discrimination against the chief candidate and former state legislator Carl Wimmer.
Why don't you fuckers shout out Christina for me?
And settled Wimmer's complaint for $80,000.
Manners. Where are my mods' manners?
That here with the department that just was, wasn't up to the same I guess the right standard that we wanted to have, that we want to have with all of our law enforcement.
Jason Adamson is the new chief at Gunnison Valley.
We now catalog and tag all of our evidence so that it's tracked, and to make sure that there's no chance of this happening again.
Hendrickson's attorney said his client is not contesting efforts by Utah's police regulators to take away his badge. Nate Carlisle, Fox 13 News, Utah.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Curiouser. I didn't see it. I was doing something else. If you're new to the stream, I'm JustinFREAKIN. We find out what that news be doing Sunday through Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm kind of half-assing it tonight because I had a big project I was working on for my real job, and I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. But I think it's been a pretty fun show. Probably need to hit the content warning with this next one. You might find the subject matter disturbing. I've been sitting on this one for a while. With all the Trump shit that's been going on, it's been kind of hard to get to fun things like this. If you can call this fun. Everybody's been wanting an update on what was going on with the sheriff that shot a judge in Kentucky. Oh, you want Shabusiness? I've got Shabusiness too, but it's like an hour and a half long. I was saving it for the 420 special. I have it. I need to get an update on her. I need to ride her while she's in prison. God damn it. YouTube is fucking with me right now. I'm done with that browser. I've been having browser troubles. But I think it's just YouTube is shitty now. It's the inshittification of all fucking websites. So this is the sheriff in Letcher County, Kentucky, or former sheriff now. He's been stripped of that title. shot a judge in his chambers. We have body cam footage that was released just a couple weeks ago, but we've been a little busy with Trump shit, so let's watch it.
For the first time, we are seeing body camera footage after a judge is shot in his chambers, and we're hearing from the sheriff accused of the crime.
Please be fair to me, boys. Now, come on now.
I'll tell you more of what Mickey Stein said after police said he shot and killed a judge. This is for the first time. We are seeing body camera footage after a judge is shot in his chambers, and we're hearing from the sheriff accused of the crime.
Please be fair to me.
Boss and one-time friend, Judge Kevin Mullins. You're going to hear from Mickey Steins after the shooting here in a bit, and some of what he says is frankly a little confusing. The crime is shocking for many reasons. First, it's a county sheriff accused of killing a judge who was his friend and former boss. And the shooting was recorded by a surveillance camera in Judge Mullins' chambers in Letcher County, Kentucky. We've seen it, and it's startling. It's unbelievable.
It's wild.
This case is definitely not
I showed it.
Far from it. It's more of a why did he do it? A lot of people would like to know the answer to that question. Kentucky State Police investigators, Mickey Steins' lawyers, Judge Mullins' family.
Let me describe it to you. I don't want to risk showing it again, but he shoots him multiple times, like in the chest, and the judge is falling over, is like begging him. You see the judge begging for his life. Shoots him, walks away, comes back, shoots him a couple more times. It's pretty brutal.
And the list goes on. That day, Mullins and Steins had lunch together. It was something they had done often. And by all accounts, there was no tension.
I do not believe I'm related to this guy, no.
Mullins met in Mullins' chambers. The meeting was recorded by a surveillance camera. A detective explained what happened at a preliminary hearing last year.
I was told that Sheriff Steins had tried to call his daughter, and he had tried to call his daughter from the judge's phone also.
Then, for reasons that remain a mystery, Stein shot Judge
We're going to find out.
I wasn't present, but when he was taken into custody, I was told by one of the other officers that were there that he made the comment, they're trying to kidnap my wife and kid.
Now we're hearing the 911 call and seeing the aftermath of what happened.
I got emergency at the courthouse. I need an ambulance here right now at district courtroom.
Which courthouse?
Court, Lex County.
And what's going on?
Judge has been shot.
The judge?
Yes.
What's his name?
Kevin Mullins.
Go ahead. Where you at? Shots fired in the Letcher County Courthouse and somebody shot Judge Mullins.
You're again?
No, sir. Just come out on the radio.
There was a lawsuit.
It's not a call that you often get. A judge shot at a courthouse.
There's some dirty business going on.
Separating witnesses.
Well, I told him to put them in separate rooms so they don't talk to each other, too.
Yeah. Have you got the witnesses?
No, they're doing the witnesses.
Who's doing the witnesses?
Justin and a couple other people are blocking the witnesses.
I did not.
And the work of securing the crime scene began.
I think he's hitting that other one.
I mean, if this goes to trial, this is going to be awesome. Especially if we get to watch it, if there's cameras in the courtroom.
They still got the 10-15.
There were for the preliminary hearing.
There's also some...
And I don't know that we don't get a change of venue.
Not far from where he's at. You want to go ahead?
I mean, clearly, can he get a fair trial in the county where he was the sheriff? Bias for and against him, I'm sure.
That it is, brother.
At 3:40 p.m., a couple of women who appear to be distraught, possibly family members of Judge Mullins, show up at the courthouse. A trooper holds one of them back. One woman is trying to get into the courthouse, but the trooper will not let her pass the steps. After 4 p.m. that day, dash cameras show officers leading Mickey Stein.
Now, there is a lawsuit that the sheriff and the judge were in on some kind of sexual favors for receiving bail out of jail and shit. One of the deputies had been fired. So the deputy was taking advantage of women inside of that judge's chambers.
Out of the courthouse in handcuffs to a waiting cruiser. And then you hear his voice talking with the troopers.
Make sure there ain't no weapons or nothing now.
There ain't nothing in there, bro.
Yeah. Come on now. Right here, open up the back hatch. Come on.
Cops are so fucking dumb. They just talk like they're dumb. That's just not me judging them on their Appalachian accent, because clearly I'm from Appalachia.
You heard Steins tell the troopers to make sure there weren't any weapons in the back of the cruiser, and he talks then a little more.
Y'all gonna leave me in here and let me die of easy talk? No, I can't get up in there. Come on now. Come on.
You can't get his fat ass up in there.
I'm up in there, bro. I'm up in there.
I can't. Yeah, man, I can't get in. These cuffs are way too tight. Come on now, guys. Come on now.
Steins definitely sounds a little paranoid.
You mean pick your leg up, my brother?
Y'all got carbon monoxide in here. Oh. Come on now. Come on. I can't sit like this.
Slide sideways.
I can't. Come on now.
How many times has he had a suspect
Good to you, brother.
say the exact same shit to him?
Come on now, guys. Please don't do this to me. Please don't do this to me. Please.
You want to scoot on over a little bit to the left?
Come on now.
Try to scoot on over a little bit more. That way we don't hit you. Can you go any bit farther? I just want to hit you with the door. Put your knee in there, my friend.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Bates. Hey, Bates. Can we loosen this up a little or give the window down?
I'm sorry?
Can we loosen this up a little? Be fair to me, man.
I got some air. I'll crack the window for you, but I can turn the air on back.
They think you might be dangerous, dude.
Be fair to me now.
I promise, Mickey. I promise.
They're wusses.
I promise. I'll tell you.
It's hot back here, man. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
The drive to the Leslie County Jail from Letcher County takes about an hour, give or take a few minutes. Steins continues to speak, as if he's in fear.
Come on now, guys. Make sure I get to the jail.
Well, I guess he was arraigned in Leslie County, the next county over.
At times, it's hard to hear the troopers in the cruiser.
Landon, good evening.
To talk to Mickey Steins on the long drive to the jail.
Come on now, guys.
I was asking why you done it. Was it over your family?
Come on now, guys. What are you doing?
I was just talking to you.
The sheriff shot a judge.
Was it something to do with your family or anything like that?
Drive to jail.
After several minutes, tries to ask Steins some more questions.
Was it something to do with your family?
Those roads look like home for me.
Something happened. Because if something did happen, you know, I mean, it'd be good to let us know. Why did you want to talk to your daughter a while ago, Nick? Something did happen that, you know.
No, that's exactly when they want to question because they're recording.
Something that could help you when you go to trial and get a fair trial. Letting us know kind of what's going on, what led to this.
At one point, Sheriff Steins asks whether the troopers are actually taking him to a national forest. He doesn't believe the troopers are taking him to the right place. They tell him there is a national forest near the jail.
Maybe we're almost to the jail. I'll ask one last time. Is there anything you want? Is this anything to do with your family? If that's some information that we need to know.
try to get you while you're emotional to
information.
get evidence they can use against you.
Always can change how investigations are working. You know what I mean?
Because they're just talking to you buddy, you know, it's not a violation of your rights.
You know that.
The sheriff should know to shut the fuck up. I have to pack another one.
Like I said, something.
Julie, welcome in.
Come on now, guys. Guys, no guys. To the jail. Not the same jail. See it right there. This is not the jail. This is not the jail now. This is not the jail.
The officers continue to drive, and they assure Mickey Steins they are taking him to the Leslie County Jail.
Okay, Mickey. Anyway, so.
Yep, that looks like a jail. Still doubt him?
Is this to do with anything with your family, your daughter, or anything? Bring one in.
Not BB girl.
Okay. Do they have to back out to get out, or does that circle out? Does it circle out?
Boogie boogies.
Okay. So, who are you passing me off to? Leslie. We've talked about this. This is Leslie County Jail. Who are you passing me off to, though? No, nobody. He knows the way here. We didn't know the way. Oh, yeah. Y'all are passing me off here now to somebody. Mickey, I don't know why you think this. Y'all are going to let somebody hurt me.
What?
Yeah. Come on now, guys. Be fair.
He's telling on the cops because he knows the way they behave. He's one of them. He's like, please don't treat me the way you do other people is what he's saying, right? Or am I just reading too much into that?
Yeah. Don't pass me off to nobody. The only people we're passing you off to is the jailers inside here. Just to do it. That's the jailers.
They said there's somebody in there that they got to clear out.
Yeah, come on now, guys.
One last time, the trooper tries to get Steins to tell him whether the shooting had anything to do with his family.
Is this anything to do with your family? I think that's some information that would be nice to be out there so we knew what exactly led to this.
Am I biased if I have a mountain of evidence to prove my case? I'm biased towards facts and reality.
Don't put me in that Leslie County van.
Steins is pulled out of the cruiser and taken into the jail to be booked. Steins' lawyers released the following statement to me. It says, the recently released footage affirms our belief that our client felt there was an imminent threat to his family and himself. There was an extreme amount of pressure placed upon him as a result of the pending civil case and its potential to reveal matters within the courthouse. The footage shows that our client perceived a genuine threat, and its impact upon his mental health is apparent. Following Steins' arrest, we found out that he had been deposed in a civil lawsuit in the days leading up to the shooting. A woman named Sabrina Atkins sued the sheriff's office, claiming a deputy named Ben Fields had sex with her while she was on home incarceration. Atkins was arrested in 2021 on a drug charge. Atkins claims that she couldn't afford to pay for an ankle bracelet and was afraid to go back to jail. So Fields, who was supervising her on home incarceration, offered to help her in exchange for sex. Atkins said she and Fields had sex in Judge Mullins' chambers 6 times. Fields eventually was charged criminally and served 6 months in jail. He is supposed to be on probation for 6.5 years. We don't know whether this played a role in the shooting, but there have been questions about whether it may have, and here's why. In 2022, investigators with the Kentucky Attorney General's office interviewed Sabrina Atkins, and she claimed to have seen tapes of Judge Mullins having sex with a woman in his chambers.
But he does have some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls, sexual and stuff.
What describe? Have you seen the videos?
I've seen one partly, and you know, just him having sex with girls for their bail to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
Ben and just some higher ups up there.
Who?
The judge and.
Now you saw the video.
Yeah.
What did you see on the video? I mean, you.
I mean, I've seen Judge Mullins having sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know, because I don't know a lot of people from over there.
Where was it at?
In his office, in the judge's chambers.
Is that the same place that you were meeting Ben? Is that how you know it was the judge's chambers? And this was Judge who?
Mullins.
Is the sheriff the good guy in this? All of them are probably dirty.
But you don't know who the girl was?
We obtained that audio in a records request from the Kentucky AG's office. News Nation actually was the first to report on the audio.
But you just saw the judge?
Right.
Do you know for sure that was the judge? Yes. I mean, how do you know that's the judge?
I've been in front of him.
You've been in front of him?
It's pretty clear on there.
Mickey Steins has pleaded not guilty to the murder charge. His attorneys have suggested he was suffering from an extreme emotional disturbance at the time of the crime, and they've suggested the shooting may have been manslaughter, not murder. That's it for this episode of Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Thanks so much for being with me. I'll see you back here next time.
I apparently missed a call from somebody. So if you'd like to call in, please do. The phone lines are open. I'm sorry I missed you a few minutes ago, but also that was really interesting stuff. Pretty juicy story we did just then. This is the kind of shit we like to talk about here on the Troll Patrol. I'm totally down to. I've been itching. I don't want to. Okay, hold on. We've got Ronald Reagan Airport apparently closed due to an aircraft emergency.
Donald Trump's reckless action cut off.
Shut up, Tim Walls. The airport in Arlington, Virginia was closed by officials on Wednesday night. What? A small plane, okay, crashed at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in Virginia on Wednesday evening. Thought we might have had like a 9/11 going on or something. That sort of shit's in vogue right now. You know, like J-Lo is on tour. The late 90s, early 2000s, really back in style. Limp Bizkit is touring. All takeoffs and landings have been halted at DCA. Emergency personnel are responding to an aircraft incident on the airfield. Yeah, fuck Ronald Reagan. He is the reason for all the bullshit we're going through right now. Developing story. That was what I saw when I went to go show you this story about a tree trimmer who has died after getting caught in a wood chipper at a Florida town hall. Is this outside the town hall? Just B-roll. The tree trimmer died after getting caught in a wood chipper while trimming trees. The incident occurred at approximately 9:30 a.m. Upon arrival, Ocean Ridge officers found one person had died from injuries sustained in the accident. What are the remains like? Is it just splatter? Officials from the Occupational Safety and Health Administration were immediately notified and en route to the scene. The identity of the victim has not yet been disclosed by authorities. Investigation is ongoing. We don't have any information yet. That's pretty grizz. Let's, wasn't that, Fargo? The show Fargo? Or no, the movie Fargo. Do I have anything else that we need to watch here? That's gruesome. I'll save that for later. We need some bullshit. You guys want some bullshit. That's horrendous. We don't need to go there right now. Let's see what I got here. Oh yeah. This is where we go. Oh, by the way, there's something going on with our food supply. I don't have any chases right now, but I think this could scratch an itch. Don't be eating broccoli. Lay's potato chips, apparently, also. Both extremely high recall, like deadly recalls. That's not comforting right now. Man caught driving over 130 miles per hour said he wanted to get home to see his cat. Happened in Norwich, Connecticut. A man was arrested in Connecticut over the weekend on DUI charges. And I don't know, War Machine. I should know that, shouldn't I? Once again, I didn't get a chance to prepare for the show tonight. I meant to do the stories. That's why I figured I'd shoot it. Yeah, well, let's go find out. Walmart broccoli. Listeria tainted broccoli sold at Walmart. Risk of death. That's why I wanted to throw that out there for you, because, I'm a man of the people. The FDA escalated a recall of market-side broccoli florets sold at Walmart to the highest level after the product was found to be contaminated with Listeria. Class I recall means that there is a reasonable probability that the use of or exposure to a volatile product will cause serious adverse health consequences or death. This is the bag of broccoli florets. I'm sure they don't look like that when you actually pull them out. They're all stems. What do you mean afford frozen? No, all veg is cheaper. I don't know. Some people live in places where it is harder to get a hold of fresh. That is privilege of me to say that. But usually a fucking, a head of broccoli is like 89 cents or some shit like that. There's like a bag is like $3. Well, if you're not eating Walmart broccoli, you should be good. Oh yeah. Dude rushing home to see his cat. He lit one up and he tipped one back. Got charged with reckless driving home to see his cat. I wish I could keep that going. It didn't. It was a happy accident. I'm so fucking tired. When asked why he was speeding so fast, troopers said the driver identified as 28-year-old Logan. What the fuck? Logan Mirmozafari. Mirmozafari. Logan Mirmozafari said he wanted to get home to see his cat. News release from the Connecticut State Police said troopers clocked Mizo Zafari driving over 130 miles per hour on the interstate. I'm assuming he's a rich boy. Trooper caught up with the Kia sedan. No, apparently not. He's driving a Kia. I mean, I guess it could have been a nice Kia. I was expecting him to be in like a Ferrari or some shit. He complied and pulled over. Told the troopers he was driving so fast because he wanted to get home to see his cat. 130 in a Kia. That's maxing it out, isn't it? I think that's all the odometer goes up to. I've test drove a Kia. Released on a $500 bond. He failed his field sobriety test. Because of course he did. You know, for a half-ass show, I think I pulled it off tonight. I wasn't even gonna do a show. Told the Discord that I was gonna take a nap. Erased the message. Got up.
It was just a pretty amazing sighting because there were, number one, so
3/4 of an ass.
1,500 plus. At first,
I watched it.
A few hundred, but then Evan put his drone up and we could just see literally white dots for all the Risso's dolphins pretty much everywhere.
I'm sorry, I'm blocking the dolphins.
Just a pretty amazing sighting because there were, number one, so many dolphins, so 1,500 plus. At first we guessed a few hundred, but then Evan put his drone up and we could just see literally white dots for all the Risso's dolphins pretty much everywhere.
This time of year, it's southbound migration for the gray whales.
I'm gonna do my best to get up tomorrow morning and do
in Alaska, and they are using the west coast.
Confirmation hearings for Tulsi Gabbard and
on their way down
RFK Jr.
in Baja California.
So it just looked like they were having a big party, socializing with each other. There was a lot of young animals in the group.
Tomorrow night, we've got the Fire Aid concert.
Just a pretty amazing sighting because there were...
Are you going to be here for Fire Aid, my lord?
At first, we guessed a few hundred.
We're going to come on for the Troll Patrol at 7 o'clock. We'll do 2 hours of news. Then we'll go Twitch only for Fire Aid.
For the gray whale.
It'll be live music Thursday.
In Beaufort Seas up north in Alaska, and they are.
It'll be the only time.
Of Canada. And
yeah, I saw that. Curious. There is like how fast is it spread? It was 200 acres when I saw it.
Having a big party, socializing with each other. There was a lot of young animals.
They're doing it at 2 different venues, so there's never going to be a down moment. Always going to be an act playing. Lady Gaga. Katy Perry, and it's gonna be the only time I'm not gonna bitch it. Red Hot Chili Peppers.
For all the Risso's dolphins, pretty much everywhere.
If there was ever a time for Red Hot Chili Peppers to come out and sing about their love of California, now is the time. They get a free pass tomorrow night. I hope they're good.
And Mexico on their way down.
I look forward to hearing them sing Under the Bridge, Californication, all the other 50 songs.
In the group as well. Juveniles having a good time. It was just a pretty amazing sighting because there were, number one, so many dolphins, so 1,500 plus. At first we guessed a few hundred, but then Evan put his drone up and we could just see literally white dots.
So Fire Aid tomorrow night.
Pretty much everywhere.
This time of year.
I'm very much looking forward to it.
For the gray whales, they come from the Bering and Beaufort Seas up north in Alaska, and they are using the west coast of Canada and United States.
I feel like tonight is a really good night to go and see Matt Bender.
Having a big party, socializing with each other. There was a lot of young animals.
If there's ever a week that Echoplex is already on. I'm sorry.
Amazing.
I know Producer Dave was on already. We'll do intellectual Dollar Tree then.
1,500 plus. At first we guessed a few hundred, but then Evan put his drone up and we could just see literally white.
Oh, Matt's amazing. You can't go wrong. Scam Economy.
Southbound migration for the
intellectual Dollar Tree.
From the Bering and Beaufort.
I'm pretty sure my chat would end up in one of those two places anyway. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm JustinFREAKIN.
So it just looked like
we got a big day tomorrow, so buckle up. Good night, everybody.